Is charm sometimes just a beautiful disguise for cruelty? Can applause drown out the truth about the people we admire most? For decades, one man had a front-row seat to witness both the brilliance and the darkness behind Hollywood's biggest smiles. Johnny Carson wasn't just America's late-night companion. He was the gatekeeper of fame, the one who made or broke reputations from behind a sleek wooden desk and a knowing grin. To millions, he was warmth, humor, and effortless charm. But to those who worked closest to him, Carson was also a silent observer who saw through the glittering masks of Hollywood's elite. While the cameras rolled and the audience laughed, he quietly took mental notes, recording who treated people with kindness and who revealed a colder, darker heart once the lights dimmed. Behind that polished smile, Carson kept a secret mental list, a private collection of names he could never respect, no matter how much the public adored them. For Carson, respect wasn't about how many Oscars someone had or how many records they sold. It was about something simpler and far more revealing, how they treated the people who couldn't offer them anything in return. Makeup artists, assistants, stagehands, camera operators, these were the people Carson trusted to show him a star's real character. And when those stars revealed cruelty, entitlement, or hypocrisy, Carson never forgot. He smiled through interviews, cracked jokes, and kept the show moving, but behind that calm expression, judgments were being quietly written in stone. Over his 30 years on television, Carson's secret list grew into something legendary among his close friends and staff, a list of stars who represented everything wrong with Hollywood's golden age. The first name on that list was Jerry Lewis, the clown prince of comedy. To millions, Lewis was the man who made them laugh until their sides hurt. His charity work for children made him seem like a national treasure, a man with a heart as big as his grin. But Carson and his crew saw another side. Off camera, Lewis was reportedly arrogant, rude, and downright cruel to the very people who made his shows possible. Crew members described him shouting orders, refusing to learn anyone's name, and treating staff like props in his own performance. Carson experienced it firsthand during an interview that spiraled into chaos. Lewis interrupted him constantly, hijacked the show with self-indulgent stories, and even reached across the desk to adjust Carson's tie, a move so disrespectful it left the audience stunned. To Carson, it wasn't just arrogance, it was dominance. Lewis seemed to relish making others uncomfortable, as if proving he was the biggest man in the room. What truly disgusted Carson was the hypocrisy, the teary-eyed television philanthropist who wept for children on air but insulted and belittled adults behind the curtain. After years of tension, Carson made a quiet but powerful decision. Jerry Lewis was banned from The Tonight Show. For Carson, it wasn't just punishment. It was a message that ego without decency had no place in his world. Then came Mickey Rooney, once Hollywood's most beloved boy next door. He had been a megastar in the 1930s and 40s, the mischievous kid with a quick grin who seemed to embody youthful joy. But time and fame had not been kind to him. By the 1970s, when Rooney appeared on Carson's show, his behavior was erratic, unpredictable, and often embarrassing. Carson saw a man who couldn't separate himself from his fame, someone who believed the rules didn't apply to him. Rooney often arrived at the studio visibly drunk, stumbling over lines, slurring words, and rambling into awkward stories that went nowhere. The charm that once defined him had curdled into something desperate. Worse still was his behavior toward women on set. He would hold their hands too long, pull them close, and make comments that left them uncomfortable. Carson, who normally preferred to keep his distance from backstage conflicts, found himself apologizing to female staff members for Rooney's conduct. In later years, producers quietly shifted Rooney's segments to earlier hours in hopes of avoiding his intoxication. For Carson, Mickey Rooney symbolized the sad truth of fame, the child star who never grew up, trapped in nostalgia and consumed by entitlement. Bette Davis was another name etched into Carson's silent list. To audiences, she was untouchable, a screen legend with eyes that could burn through the camera and a voice that commanded attention. On The Tonight Show, she was witty, sharp, and captivating. But behind that brilliance lay a cruelty that few dared confront. Crew members described her as explosive, dismissive, and verbally abusive. She thrived on confrontation, interrupting other guests, especially younger women, and cutting them down with biting remarks. Carson tolerated her sharp tongue until the insults turned toward his staff. One night, after Davis berated a makeup artist and reduced a young assistant to tears, Carson stepped in. Calm but firm, he told her she would show respect to everyone on his set, or not speak at all. For a moment, the room froze. Davis, shocked that anyone had challenged her, fell silent. Though the interview continued, Carson decided it would be her last. He admired her talent, but he couldn't stomach her arrogance. For him, Davis represented a cruel truth about Hollywood's golden age. Brilliance didn't excuse bullying. Frank Sinatra's name carried power like few others. He was the embodiment of cool, smooth voice, impeccable style, and an aura that commanded every room. But for those who worked behind the cameras, Sinatra's visits were a source of tension, even fear. He never came alone. He arrived with a group of men who looked more like bodyguards than friends, their presence intimidating enough to make crew members whisper. Sinatra's temper was infamous. During one taping, when a floor manager gave him a standard 3-minute warning, Sinatra snapped, grabbing the man by the collar and threatening him. Carson was livid but held his composure. Still, the incident left a mark. From then on, Carson limited Sinatra's appearances and made it clear that intimidation had no place on his show. The tipping point came when Sinatra insulted a staff member during a break, drawing a rare public defense from Carson himself. For a man known for diplomacy, that moment spoke volumes. To Carson, Sinatra's charm was a performance. The real man behind it was someone who wielded power like a weapon. Then there was Joan Crawford, the glamorous queen of old Hollywood, known for her elegance, her striking beauty, and her commanding presence. But beneath that flawless exterior, Carson saw something chilling. Crawford treated The Tonight Show like her personal kingdom. Before appearing, she sent a list of outrageous demands. The temperature in the studio had to be exactly 67 degrees, her chair positioned at a precise angle, and her own makeup team was to replace the studio's professionals. Once there, she terrorized the staff. When a young assistant brought her a glass of water, Crawford unleashed a stream of insults so cruel that the room fell silent. Carson's producers refused her demand to have the assistant fired, but the damage was done. Crawford's ability to shift from icy disdain off-camera to radiant charm the moment the light turned red left Carson unnerved. He once told a friend that interviewing her felt like talking to a wax figure that suddenly comes alive when it wants something. Years later, when Crawford's daughter revealed the disturbing reality of life with her mother, Carson wasn't surprised. To him, Joan Crawford was the perfect symbol of Hollywood's darkest illusion, beauty and grace concealing something cold and merciless underneath. For Johnny Carson, these experiences weren't just anecdotes. They were a painful education in the difference between fame and character. Over the decades, he had laughed with hundreds of stars, but behind those laughs were moments of quiet reckoning. He saw how easily success could twist a person, how power could turn kindness into arrogance. His secret list wasn't about gossip, it was about integrity. Jerry Lewis for his ego, Mickey Rooney for his recklessness, Bette Davis for her cruelty, Frank Sinatra for his intimidation, Joan Crawford for her hypocrisy. Each of them represented a piece of Hollywood's hidden truth, a world where glamour was often a mask for moral decay. Carson never revealed his list publicly, but those who knew him said it was his way of holding on to honesty in a business built on illusion. He continued smiling, delivering jokes, and shaking hands with stars, but he never stopped noticing the small moments others missed. The way a celebrity spoke to a janitor, the look they gave a nervous intern, the tone they used with a makeup artist. Those details mattered more to him than fame ever could. To Carson, decency was the truest mark of greatness. And when that decency was missing, no amount of applause could cover it up. By the time Carson retired in 1992, The Tonight Show had become a symbol of more than late-night laughter. It was a reflection of America's relationship with fame. His silent judgments, his hidden list, and his unwavering respect for ordinary workers told a deeper story about Hollywood's golden age, one that shimmered with beauty but was corroded beneath the surface. Those 5 names weren't just difficult guests. They were symbols of the rot beneath the sparkle, proof that fame doesn't change who you are, it simply magnifies it. And while Johnny Carson's smile may have charmed a nation, behind that calm expression was a man who saw the truth long before anyone else did. His list reminds us that kindness is the one quality no camera can fake, and cruelty is the one flaw no spotlight can hide. Fame may build legends, but character, or the lack of it, decides who deserves to be remembered. If you enjoyed this look into Hollywood's hidden side and Johnny Carson's secret thoughts, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's much more to uncover about the untold stories behind the stars you thought you knew.